So what is going on, guys? NanoBits93 here with another video, and before we even get started, I want to announce the 4 winners down below of the ShiftScreen app giveaway. So either shoot me a DM on Twitter, which I'll put right here, or email me. My email is down below, and I'll just shoot you guys the code to be able to download the app for free. So I appreciate everybody that joined in. Everybody's been kind of really liking the app and the way I explained it, so thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Now let's get it going with the video.
Music bed.
As you guys know, iPadOS 13.4 was released about a week ago now at this point, and it brought along mouse and trackpad support natively, because before we could kind of do something with the mouse, but it was through accessibility and the features weren't really there. You know, it didn't really act like a mouse, it was just like an extension of your finger. Versus now, Apple has taken their own spin on what a mouse should act like within a touch-first iPad interface, right? And a lot of people have been asking me, right? So I bought myself the Magic Trackpad 2 right here in the white color. It was $130, so that is a little bit pricey just for a trackpad. And people have been asking me, hey, should I use a regular mouse? Like, let's say I have a $20 Pebble mouse or a mouse that I've been using for years. Can I just use that mouse and not have to shell out money to get an Apple Trackpad or an Apple Magic Mouse 2? To an extent, yes, you can. The functionality is a little bit different, and what I want to walk you guys through today is kind of compare the Magic Trackpad 2 versus my Logitech Anywhere S2 mouse, which I absolutely love. I love that mouse for both my work Windows computer, and I was using it for the iPad for a good while, and it does work with the new iPadOS update of 13.4. But I just kind of want to show you guys what the differences are and what the limitations are on the mouse side, right? So let's hop right into it. So guys, like I said, we're just gonna hop right into this video. As you guys can see, we have two like mice trackpad options. On the right, we got the trackpad, or the Magic Trackpad 2, and then my Logitech Anywhere S2 mouse. And I'm gonna start with the Logitech one actually, right? Because technically this is what has more limitation versus the trackpad itself. So I put the little red dial so you guys can see my cursor. So hopefully you guys can see that pretty easily, right? And so a lot of the things will work like a normal mouse would, right? So if you go in, left click, this brings you to whatever app you would want to go to, right? You have the left click option, which works like, you know, the 2 fingers on the trackpad itself to bring up an options menu. And then this is where it gets a little bit different, right? So a lot of things still also work, like I said. If you go all the way to the right, it still takes over here. If you go to the left, it takes over here, so you can kind of click on notifications, click on your control center, and those things still pop up, right? But a lot of it has to do with the gestures that come with the trackpad itself. So when I go into Safari, instead of scrolling with 2 fingers on the trackpad, I can scroll with the scroll wheel itself, and it works like it's supposed to. But then when it comes to moving in between apps, getting the dock to show up, going back home, so it's pretty much with the 3 and 4 finger gestures, which don't really work with the trackpad or with the mouse itself, right? So like I said, you're gonna lose a lot of the gesture functionality because obviously there's no plane for you to use your fingers. Now there are workarounds, which I do wanna show you guys. So if you guys are very adamant about using a mouse as opposed to a trackpad, there's still ways to do it, right? So the first way that Apple kind of worked around it was, okay, let's say I go into Safari, and how do I wanna go home, right? You gotta go down to where the home bar is, and you see how it kind of takes it over, and then you click and you go home. And then to bring up the dock, you kind of come down with a fast motion and your dock pops up. If you just go down to your dock slowly, it won't pop up. You got to really bring it down and kind of force it up and like use the physics of it for it to work and things like that, right? But then once you get the dock up, it works just like your trackpad would. You hold it down to move it over. It still takes over the native iOS features, so it kind of just gets sucked into the middle there for you to be able to move how big you want the multitasking to be. Follow me on Twitter, guys, if you guys haven't yet. So those functions work normally, but now if I want to go back home, there's no, like I said, you can't swipe up with 3 fingers, you can't really do that. And then you also can't go into multitasking, because multitasking with 3 fingers, all you do is you go up, hold, and then you're in multitasking. But if I want to go into multitasking with a mouse, what I have to do is go down and keep going down. So you guys see where my hand started? So let's go back to here. There's my mouse, look at where my hand is. I'm going down, going past the home bar, going past the dock, going past this, keep going, and then boom, you're into the multitasking feature. So it's kind of like you're feeling it out to see exactly how it works for you and see what's most comfortable for you, right? So to get your slide overview to work with the mouse itself and not a trackpad, it works very similarly to how you bring up the dock. through like force of a direction of where the mouse is going, right? So let's say I want to let's bring up Twitter in slide overview. So just throw it up on top. There it is. The scrolling functionality still works well. I can grab the bar, go all the way up. So everything works how it should be because the app knows that the mouse is over here. If I want to get rid of it, you don't grab it and move it. You instinctively want to like tap on this corner over here and move it out of the way, which you can't do, right? So what you have to do is slide over to the right and do the same motion that you would when you forcefully come down and get the dock. You forcefully go to the right. And if you go back to the right and keep going, then it pops the slide over view over again. So these different kinds of ways you're interacting, like Apple's trying to bring physics into it to kind of alleviate the fact that there's no touch surface on a mouse. So those are all the workarounds when it comes to using a mouse as your pure pointing device for the iPad. Now there is one more workaround, guys. I know iPads are full of workarounds and we're getting to the point where we're not going to need these workarounds, but before we got this new 13.4 release and we had the accessibility version of the mouse support, right? If you go into accessibility, you go into pointer controls, you can look at all the different options here. If you go to assistive touch settings, you can still map all the different buttons. So as you guys can see, the Magic Mouse has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different buttons. So you can map those buttons to do what you want, right? So let me go back to the MX Anywhere S2, and you can see that I have different options filled out for all these different, for all the different hotkeys. And the nice thing, so the one caveat here is that in order for this to work and actually take place, accessibility touch needs to be turned on. This is the annoying part for me because let's say my mouse isn't on, right? And I have accessive touch on, that little square shows up no matter what. So if I open up my iPad with the mouse not connected, that'll pop up. And I know it's a first world problem, obviously, but it's just something that I don't like. But if I do have accessibility on, instead of having to slowly find this home bar down here, I just press the middle button. It takes me home. Instead of having to keep going down to get to multitasking screen, just double click on my middle button. I'm in multitasking screen, right? So those are different things that I can use to pretty much customize my own mouse experience. And again, the only caveat here is you have to keep assistive touch on. And another thing that I did was volume rockers up and down right from my mouse pad, so I don't have to deal with it kind of going down here and moving the volume through there. But it does work and you can get it to work, right? So if we switch back to the trackpad, sorry guys, I'm a righty, so we got to keep it on this side. If you go back to the trackpad, then all your normal functionality comes back, right? 3 fingers up for multitasking, open up your app, get slide over to come over, here it is. You can still play with slide over within the app itself. So I really do believe that Apple's vision for what mouse support or trackpad support is for the iPad isn't exactly what we use a mouse for when it comes to using a Windows computer or a Mac computer. They want the trackpad to be kind of like a gesture interface that you can play with and kind of help you speed up and make your processes more efficient, right? It's kind of there to, like I said, make everything a little bit more efficient by using like all the different gestures, like I said, slide over, opening up the multitasking bar, things like that, and then also adding, making it a lot easier to edit text because the cursor kind of transforms into a text editor when you scroll over text. But other than that, I don't think Apple really wants the trackpad to replace the touch interface of the iPad itself and the pencil interface of the iPad itself, because that's what it's built on, right? Like, why would Apple want to make the iPad into a computer, right? They have computers for that, but we do want to get as close as possible to that computer standpoint, but we'll get there at some point, guys. But that's what I think Apple's vision is for the trackpad, at least for the time being. They want it to be a supplemental way that you interact with the iPad as opposed to the only way. And that's why I think they're making it a little more difficult to use a regular mouse versus their own proprietary trackpad. And I had another third-party trackpad. 3-finger gestures do not work on a third-party trackpad. And I know that Bridge Pro Plus is having a lot of issues with it with the new 13.4 update. I had another third-party trackpad that I tried. It did not work, or it didn't work that well. So that's what we're kind of dealing with, guys. So hopefully that sheds some light on if you're trying to make a purchasing decision, depending on what you guys want to use everything for. The mouse works. It works perfectly fine. It works the same way. You have those workarounds, like I mentioned, to be able to get the full functionality or even a better functionality when it comes to interacting with the iPad. But Apple wants trackpads. They don't want mice. They want trackpads, and that's my opinion, and I'm going to stick to that, guys. So that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you guys made it to the end of the video, shoot me a comment down below. We've been crushing it lately. Please remember to stay safe, wash your hands, socially distance yourself from everybody else, and we'll get through this soon, guys. But thanks so much for watching, and hopefully I could just bring some relative content to get you guys through the day. But that's going to do it. Until next time, peace.